Actress Scarlett Johansson sues Disney over breaking contract. Kind of, not really. I don't know. It's complicated. Let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, if I kind of got the audio from last time, I think by now you should be able to hear me. I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, I don't know why I can't hear it. So hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, let's get kind of into this whole thing. I don't know why I've been recording at night. I like recording at night. It's bad. Honestly, I know it's bad. I know it's super late right now, but it's when I get the energy to do it. I want to switch it up. I think I'm probably just going to be doing streaming late at night. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'll just record at night and put it up early. I don't know. But I said I was going to record 4 shows a day. I'm doing 4 shows a day. By the way, quick reminder. Check out my other podcasts, particularly the book summary podcast. I'm already in. I did the first chapter of Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Promise, if you want to check it out. Also, follow me on Instagram at Super Dario World and at Super Dario World and at Dario SDW. Also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Patreon at Super Dario World. It's a lot of stuff. I should write it down. You know, I should just pre-record this and have it along with the intro, kind of like an outro. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Anyway, like I said, check out the new podcast. They're not available everywhere yet. It's the book summary podcast. It's the El Resumen Literario y es Super Dario World en Español. So it's those 3. They're not available everywhere yet. I believe they're on Spotify for sure, and they have their own YouTube channel. So if you want to check them out there, cool. Anyway, so let's get into this whole ScarJo thing because I think is stupid. So, full disclosure, not a big ScarJo fan. She might be a beautiful girl, not my cup of tea, and I don't think she's a good actress. I think she's the weakest part of most movies that she's in. Vicky Cristina Barcelona, the weakest part. Match Point, the weakest part. What was it? What's this? The movie Tokyo? No, Lost in Translation. Is that the movie? I don't know. Weakest part. It's Freaks. Worst part. Anyway, she's not terrible. She has some good movies, but overall, not a fan. And I'm particularly not a fan of her as Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. And this is where everything comes down to it. Because honestly, she doesn't make the accent. How can you play a Russian spy, a reformed Russian spy, and you don't have a Russian accent? It drives me nuts. It should have been Yvonne Strahovski. I'm sticking to it. I don't care. Anyway, so Scarlett Johansson is upset with Disney because Disney decided to, I can just read you the whole thing because she sued her former employers recently. And by the way, this kind of just puts the nail in the coffin of her returning to the MCU probably ever, because it's like, hey, you had like a 9-movie deal. You're done. That deal's done. And you're suing your former boss. Yeah, your character's dead in the timeline. I think it's done. I think it's the last we've seen of her. Anyway, so this is, let me see if I can find exactly what she says. So the issue is you have, why is it that they can never put the quotes? I just had it here and they move the quotes. I hate you for putting it this way. Okay. Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of okay. Here's what they say. The lawsuit, which filed by the Los Angeles Superior Court, alleges that Disney willfully breached the contract with Johansson when the company released Black Widow on Disney Plus at the same time as the theatrical debut. Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of the agreement without justification in order to prevent Miss Johansson from realizing the full benefit of her bargain with Marvel. According to the lawsuit, Johansson alleges that the agreement with Disney Marvel Entertainment guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release, and her salary was based in large part on how the film performed in the box office. So the big issue is how much money she was supposed to make in the box office, because the more money the movie makes at the box office, the more movie she gets in a bonus. So that's what they're fighting over. Scarlett Johansson thinks that she should have gained about $70 million, and Disney gave her $20 beforehand. Anyway, so that's what the whole deal's about. Now, Disney gave a response to that, and it's actually pretty interesting because the word exclusive here is very important. According to Disney, they never said that the thing was going to be exclusively released in movie theaters. So Scarlett Johansson says, her lawyer says that, yeah, they said it was going to be exclusive because it was going to follow the same deal that Captain Marvel, that the movie Captain Marvel did. Now, I'll get into that in a minute because I think that's a ridiculous argument to use, but whatever. Anyway, here's the point. Disney said no. And their response basically says that the studio issued an unusual caustic response, calling Johansson's complaint sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of COVID-19 pandemic, denying any contractual breach while divulging her $20 million payday of the film. So, let me break that down for you. Scarlett Johansson sued Disney because it's like, hey, the movie, the movie was supposed to come out in theaters only, and I was supposed to get a bonus based on how the movie did in theaters. So, since you released the movie on Disney Plus at the same time, that cut into the money that could have been in the box office. Also, it made it easier for people to pirate the movie, a digital copy of it, and everybody saw it in piracy went rampant. Everybody saw it that way, and so we didn't make any money. The movie did not make enough money in box office, and you owe me more money. That's basically what she's complaining. She thinks that she should have made $70 million off of this, and Disney paid her $20 million beforehand. Here's the issue. Unfortunately for her, two big issues, legally speaking. Disney can use basically like the act of God argument, saying, like, let me see if I can find it specifically the way they mention it, because there's a specific term. How's it? Force majeure. They can use the force majeure argument, saying like, hey, the world changed. COVID, it's like an act of God. We don't control that. So that's one, bad for them. Two, it doesn't say, according to what I've read, it doesn't say in the document, in the agreement, that it would have to be exclusively released in movie theaters. The theaters are saying that they said that the film would be released, would have a theatrical release. They guarantee a theatrical release, not an exclusive theatrical release. So Scarlett Johansson people are arguing, well, that's what that means. It means exclusive theatrical release. And Disney's like, nah, it's not on paper, bitch. So she's legally in the wrong here, I think. And the perfect example of this on how specific you need to be in contract is the theme song to Dawson's Creek. Now, if you ever watched the TV show Dawson's Creek on TV, like I did, they had an iconic song, and the song was I don't want to wait for my life to be over. Anyway, that song, kind of iconic, right? But if you see it streaming on Netflix or wherever, or you see the DVDs, it has a different song, and the song's not as great, so you have to fast forward that. Anyway, the point here is, it's the reason why they had to change the song is because the studio bought the rights to the song for TV distribution and for VHS. They didn't contemplate future technology. They didn't contemplate DVDs. They didn't contemplate streaming. So they didn't have the rights for they had the rights for the VHS. They didn't have the rights for the DVD, the Blu-ray, or streaming services, digital streaming. So the artist said, like, fuck no, you can't use my song unless you pay me a buttload of money. And the studio was like, we're not going to pay you a buttload of money, so just keep your stupid song. Anyway, if they couldn't get it for that, like if they couldn't get it for VHS to DVD, you think you're going to get this? Seriously? Like, it doesn't say exclusive. Unfortunately, she's in the wrong here. Also, let's get into other stuff. Let's get into the fun stuff. The movie, it's possible that it didn't do that well in the box office because the movie sucks. It's a terrible movie. It's a bad movie. It's all around, it's a bad movie. And don't worry, I will rip into it eventually. I'm probably going to do an MCU review. You know how I review episodes here? I just like fast forward real quick. I might do that with a whole MCU. Just do like a whole review, and eventually we'll end up in Black Widow, and I'll rip it to shreds because it's a terrible movie. And by that point, you probably should have watched it already, or whatever, Yo ho, mateys. Anyway, so that's one. The movie sucks. So maybe that's why people didn't watch it. Two, the piracy argument. It sounds logical, except for the fact that, piracy has kind of existed forever. It's kind of been a thing. Always. Maybe it was more rampant now. Sure. Probably. But you can't prove it. You can't prove that was the reason. Because again, piracy has always existed. So, was it a dick move by Disney? Maybe. I don't think so. Now, I've talked about this a lot previously because Warner Brothers did something wild a few months back. And Warner Brothers announced that their entire 2021 lineup was going to be released on HBO Max at the same time as movie theaters. And directors, actors, everybody were like, fuck you, what the fuck is going on? Unfortunately, HBO Max had the right to do it. And so I said at the time, well, Warner Brothers had the right to do it because the contracts at that particular time did not specify that they couldn't do it because the industry did not work that way back then. And then something happened last year. You may have missed it, COVID, and the industry changed. You could argue the world changed, but the industry definitely changed. So the game changed, And so they were trying to adapt, they were trying to survive, they were trying to keep the business going. And afterwards, when everybody was like, fuck you guys, you're screwing us over, we're not going to work with you anymore. HBO then, Warner Brothers then started to make deals with the directors, with their talent, and they were like, all right, we'll give you money. Here you go. Take money and whatnot. Just shut up. And I guess that's pacified them a little. Disney, on the other hand, did it beforehand. Disney gave her $20 million before anything else. Like they were just like, here, $20 million. And they guaranteed a theatrical release. And she would still get the bonus from the theatrical release. So it's like, okay, we're reworking your deal. But again, I've read it a lot of places. It did not say exclusivity anywhere. Nowhere. Anywhere. That's what's going to screw her over a lot. Bad. And you know what? Double screwed you over. You know how many studios Disney owns? Like Fox, Marvel, Lucasfilms. You know how many franchises they own? She's screwing herself out terribly. For $70 million, I know it's a lot. It's a lot of money. But honestly, the movie probably wasn't going to make the $70 million. Again, if it would have come out last year, wasn't going to make the $7 million because, theaters were kind of closed. So if everything would have kept on going normally, it wouldn't have made the $70 million. So Disney changed it, pushed it back to the point where they couldn't push it back anymore. Because, listen, things are not back to normal yet. People do not consider going to the movies yet a normal thing. It just hasn't happened yet. Why? I don't know. I've gone to the movies a couple times. It's always empty. It's great. I was talking to my sister recently. My sister was like, I forgot that I could go to the movies. I forgot that it was an option. People forget. People are like, well, you know what? I already have a streaming service. I can just go home. The industry has changed. The world has changed. And Disney had to release that movie now because they have another show coming out soon called Hawkeye. And if you watch Black Widow, the final scene, it kind of relates to it, or at least it's going to be somewhat related at a certain point, or it looks that way. So they had to release it at that point because they're on a calendar, they're on an agenda, they're trying to make money, get things going. Anyway, so yeah, she's screwed any way she looks at it, and so to me, it looks like Disney was doing her a solid. Like it was like, all right, we're giving you $20 million, no matter what. That's cool. I mean, give me $20 million no matter what. They didn't have to. They could have just let it go to the movie theaters and see what happened. And it probably would have been terrible because, again, people are not going to the movies yet. They're not going to the movies. It's not a thing that's happening. It's not. Also, the movie was terrible. Anyway, so imagine you're considering going to the movies and then you're like, hey, you know what? That movie sucks. You shouldn't risk it. And you'll be like, all right, I won't risk it. Anyway. Also, let's talk about the Captain Marvel thing, because they released an email written in 2019, and this is where they're claiming that, hey, this is where where Johansson's lawyer is saying, like, this is the studio gave us a specific intention to distribute Black Widow as it did Captain America, and which grossed like $1 billion worldwide. And this is what the email says. So here you go. Quote, further to our conversation today, it is 100% our plan to do typical wide release of Black Widow. We have very high expectations for the film and are very excited to do for Black Widow what we've just done with Captain Marvel. We totally understand Scarlett's willingness to do the film, and her whole deal is based on the premise of that film would be widely theatrically released like our other pictures. We understand that should the plan change, we would need to discuss with you and come to an understanding, as the deal is based on a series of very large box office bonuses. So, here's the issue. Here's the big issue with that email. It was written and sent in 2019. You know what hadn't happened in 2019? Again, you might have missed it. COVID. Everything changed. So to me, it kind of like really sounds like a petty child. She's like, I want more money. Now, I get it. You work hard. You want to make your money. You think the issue here, from what I've argued, is that this affects her brand, because her brand is like, no, I'm an actress that should be paid $70 million to film. And now it's like she's an actress that got paid $20 million to film, which I guess affects you in a way. You know what affects you more? Being the girl who sues her boss. That affects you more. Nobody wants to work with that girl. Unfortunately, it sucks, because sometimes, bosses suck. And sometimes they deserve to be sued. Here is one of the situations where it's like, dude, everybody got screwed. Everybody got screwed. I have no pity for you. You didn't make you made $20 million. People lost their homes, people lost their job, people lost their business, people lost their lives. And you're complaining about this, really? You have nothing to gain here. Disney, do you look bad? I don't think so. I don't think so. If I hear the Disney during a pandemic gave one of their stars $20 million because they knew they were going to have to change things, I'd be like, all right, it sounds like they're doing a solid. At least from the outside. Like I said, I haven't read the full contract, but everything that I've seen here, one side seems like they just really don't get it. They think everything should be back to normal. This movie should have made $1 billion and I should have made all this money. No, it wasn't. A, the movie sucked. B, the world changed. The industry changed. And you're trying to go out there and pretend like things are normal. No, it's not. It's not. So, sorry, Scarlett. I think you're going to lose this one. And I think anybody who sues afterwards is probably going to keep losing. Maybe she gets a payout by Disney, but at this point, I don't see why. Disney's got their stars under contract. She's no longer under contract. In fact, I think they have a lot more to lose if they give her money, because then it gives other people the incentive to sue them afterwards. So, sorry, sucks for you, but again, you did a terrible job as Black Widow, so that's that. Sorry. Anyway, as always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show. It's Dario SDW and at Super Dario World, streaming on YouTube and on Twitch eventually. I'm not sure yet because, again, I'm recording really late now. I don't know why, but I am. And at Super Dario World. Also, follow me on Facebook, Patreon, everything. I appreciate it. It really helps out. Like, subscribe, share. That's the thing that helps me out the most. Again, check out my other podcast. They just started. I have like 3 episodes in. I barely just started breaking down the story today. So I'm breaking down the story of Aang. I'm sorry, the last Avatar. The last Avatar, The Last Airbender, The Promise. It's a graphic novel in the book summary podcast. Check it out. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.